Welcome back to Dark Nexus. Tonight, it's Act 3, Chapter 116. It is dusk now. 13th of Chthona, mile 322, the end of our 33rd consecutive day on the Selen Starling. We've just dropped anchor. Facing downstream, the impenetrable wall of the elven Firani forest looms dark and moody to the right. On the left bank of the river, about a mile away, you can see the distant glow of a couple of small houses, likely Razmiran peasant families, gathering inside after a day of farming or fishing or traveling down the road to Zur to sell their goods in the largest marketplace in the area. When we last left off, the plan was to use the Dreamlands excursion ritual tonight after Dabbs meditates to try to take the fight to Captain Vedrak before he can unleash more terrors upon the Starling. Is that still the plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Katie proposed a couple of episodes back a quick review of what you know about the Bloodwind and its crew. During the hour that Dabbs will be meditating for spells, how about we picture Dora back down in the hold, pouring back through those 3 particular books, The Emotions of the Past, The Shadow's Ship, and The Voyage of the Rainbow Servant. So, you know that Captain Vedrak is a magus, and that he's a denizen of Leng. Thanks to the fight with Weirlai, you know that denizens of Leng ignore critical hits and precision damage, thanks to their alien biology. They are immune to poison. They have spell resistance. They massively resist cold and electricity damage. And you know that if they get their freaky mouth parts on you, they can DRAIN, drain your decks. You know that Vedrak's mate is Elish the Wraith. You know she's going to be incorporeal. That her touch attack, DRAINS, Constitution. And that any humanoid slain by her will become a wraith themselves in 1d4 rounds. Rounds. Although, to bring up an earlier conversation, we don't know exactly what's going to happen if your lucid dream body goes down that way. We haven't seen anything like that happen yet.
I mean...
Cool, an opportunity for learning.
Yes, it'll be a moment of discovery.
Well, yeah, that would be fascinating. It'd be like, normally in the real world, you would have this happen, but in the Dreamlands, you would probably, your body just disappears because you're not...
That's what you've seen happen so far, yeah. Beyond that, you know that Vedrak doesn't keep a consistent crew, but rotates through mercenary companies and slaves to handle the rowing of the ship. So it's safe to assume there will be red shirts, potentially many. And let's say that based on Grip's close reading of Emotions of the Past in the Caravanserai, that's the one that's written in Orcish about the man that was held captive on the Bloodwind for a year. Let's say that Grip would assess the typical mercenaries as no slouches. Like maybe any single random typical red shirt that Vedrak gets could have taken out your entire party back when you arrived in Thrushmore. Let's just think about them that way. And finally, the ship itself. It's a long ship, so it's going to be narrow and very long and low, designed for combat. There's an open deck and a long, low hold below where the oars are. You know that the ship is a living vessel, which in Pathfinder Crunch terms means that it is an intelligent magic item. It is effectively a construct. It will have mental ability scores, an alignment, and a will of its own. Knowledge Arcana check from the two of you, real quick, for a thing I don't think we've discussed yet.
23.
31.
So Dora, as you're poring back over these books and refreshing your own mind on what you think you remember about how intelligent magic items work, they do have a will of their own. They act in combat and can take actions on their own. It may be possible to bend an intelligent magic item to do your will, but that will require a battle against its ego score. Success means you might be able to control it for a day. failure might mean it controls you for a day. A very risky prospect, not knowing what the ego score is.
Is that an action to engage in that?
Yeah, and then effectively the crunch is you got to make a will save against its ego score.
Yeesh.
My 31 doesn't give me any indication of what that ego score might be.
No. The guy who was held captive on the ship didn't have the crunch of the Bloodwind's ego. You know that the Bloodwind can fill its own sails with powerful magical winds. You know it can fly, even to the moon, apparently. You know it can travel between the material plane, the dimension of dreams, and the plateau of Leng, carrying those aboard it with it.
Oh, boy.
And because it is an intelligent magic item, you know that it can activate any of its abilities itself and does not require, like, for example, Vedrak to make those things happen. You would think that a large intelligent magic item the size of a longship would probably have full control over everything on both of its decks, might be able to trip you with ropes, lock you with manacles. There's a lot of things that the ship could do to fuck you up without even Vedrak controlling it. I hope that's all useful information
Does
for
it
you.
get more than one attack around, I wonder?
You would think of it as having one action per turn. So
Okay.
Dora would guess it can do something every turn.
Every turn, every round.
Every round.
All right.
Yeah. It'll be in the initiative, basically. The ship itself will be in the initiative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we want to review? Any other part of what you think you might expect on the Bloodwind?
Dabs,
Yeah.
might I borrow your hat for this journey?
Oh, right.
I think it might be wise if I didn't appear as the same person who humiliated the captain.
Sure.
That might
Course.
draw unnecessary attention to myself.
Of course. Absolutely. Here you go.
Thank you.
Dora puts on the hat of human guise and becomes what? A human child?
A human child.
Human child?
Oh, God. Maybe looks a little like Daria.
Oh. 7-year.
She doesn't have that many references.
Yeah.
I mean, I could look like Maeve, but I
You
think
could look
her-
like 17-year-old Daria, like not fucked up little
yeah.
girl Daria. Like,
oh yeah, I didn't mean the fucked up version of Daria.
I was
mean,
picturing like
the-
7-year-old.
No, I mean
no
like
hands.
the human version of what she would look like as
Yeah.
a human child.
So, like,
but if I can go to 17,
Sure. So
but
adventurer,
but
adolescent
that
Daria.
character
Ish.
might look too much like Tima. So I think maybe child Daria. Actually, no, it should be Maeve because that doesn't look anything like.
There you go. So it's a young girl reminiscent of Maeve. All right, so Katie, while Dora is looking through these books again, she stumbles across something she had idly jotted down yesterday after she woke from the enchanted wood. Just to remind you all, when you arrived there, because this was like months ago in our actual timelines, when you arrived there, just before the Tikbalong fight got rolling, Dora, Grip, and Vic heard that sound of that bell again, the one that's been going on since the beginning of all this and has been absent ever since you left Briarstone Isle. The three of you heard the bell. It was very faint and distant, and you got a vision with it this time of a long, sharp needle piercing an eyeball. So even though Katie had set aside this written conversation between Dora and Tima for a while, I did discover that Katie did have Dora return to it. And Katie, as Dora finishes this hour of research while Dabs is meditating, she finds that she had left a response for herself. Why don't you read the question that you left for Tima?
Did you kill Feshkanelet with a needle to the eye? Is that what keeps echoing in my mind?
And who is that? Do we know who that is?
Remind us, Katie.
Feshkanelet is the Baron? A Technic League slaver from Numeria who had specialized in the sale of women and children, pouring of his vast wealth into efforts to locate alien technology. Believed to be dead, his reign of terror was roughly 30 years prior to the beginning of the campaign. Dora bears the mark of his brand, a menacing eyeball on her shoulder.
This first came up in chapter 16, 100 episodes ago. Isn't that crazy?
And it came back in the Act 2 interlude, where he was referenced as someone who forced a 9-year-old Dora to commit murder.
So here is what you find.
What makes you think I did it? There you go again, always assuming your hands are clean and mine are dirty. Don't forget, I saw the handwriting on that note too. It seems as though you may be real, baby girl, and not just a symptom of my madness. Who knew? But the needle. We know one of us did it, and we know when. Don't exactly know where it happened, and though I can easily make some assumptions, we don't really know why. But the past is the past. I'm less interested in what happened then than I am in why this is being shown to us. Why now? And by whom? Obviously, being in the dreaming connects us to whatever this entity is. It keeps clanging bells at us. Who is it? And what does it want? Good questions. Those were helpful questions.
Yeah.
Those were a negotiation towards working together against a common enemy as opposed to fighting each other for control of this body. So that's,
And it was a very different...
Yeah.
I know it's been months since you, Katie, probably have looked at the whole conversation, but
Right. But it was very
you
different tone.
led with a very different kind of question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as listening to that and, haven't heard it in a while and haven't been thinking on that path in a while.
Yeah.
Not a lot of references to Dora past. Like, the past is mostly always Tima.
Exclusively, except for the handwriting on that note.
Yeah.
So while Dora's refreshing herself on what you're about to face tonight, Dabwick is meditating. What's up with Dabs this evening, Polly?
At dusk, Dabwick has been waiting for this moment all day. They excuse themselves and, in a fluid motion, vault over the railing on the starboard side of the ship, transform into a pink river dolphin, Inia geofrensis, and dives into the water, swimming apace with the starling in one surprisingly graceful fluid motion. Splash! The water is quiet. Blessedly quiet. And vast. And Dabwick appreciates the sense of space and quiet so much they could weep fishy tears of joy. They allow air to pass through their spout, take in a deep breath, and begin to quiet their mind. And whether it's simply a change in attitude or a genuine phenomenon, Dabwick finds meditation in this space and in this form to be okay. But how can that be? Dolphins don't meditate. In truth, Dabwick has changed physical form to play the part of the dolphin, and inside it's Dabwick's mind at work. Really, though, the experience of their body temperature cooling to match the temperature of the water is so visceral. Dabwick feels like a dolphin, sleek and slippery, and that real experience for Dabwick aids them in their meditation. What is true and what is real? Dabwick reminds himself of when they changed shape in the enchanted wood. For the man on the leaf? Chester, was it? I changed from me gripply form to me natural form, me true form, because I wanted to demonstrate to the man I could be trusted. That Nixon did the opposite, changed to hide his true form. Dabwick's first memories of changing their appearance came with that hat of human guise that they shared with Sam. The old druid that sold them the hat gave them a gruff warning that illusion magic was not a reliable way of changing your identity, just your appearance. That what we were, wearing the hat, was same as not, no matter how we may have looked different. Sam liked the hat for sneaking. As a human child or a gnome or just a random halfling, Sam was happy to experiment with standing around unnoticed in places where he shouldn't be. Not that Sam would have been noticed much anyway. Poor Sammy. And that's the one bollocks thing about magic that Dabwick has to contend with. The bravado they feel in the shape of another creature, or the strength that they feel in commanding nature itself, as real as it feels, the understanding that Dabwick uses distorts the truth for a moment. Does Dabwick essentially trade an ounce of authenticity for every spell?
Wow.
Wasn't Sammy, though, always really Sammy underneath the disguise? The mental trauma Vic and Grip are experiencing is kind of the same thing. Distorted truth that feels real. Somehow we just managed to keep going. Somehow we managed to keep pulling ourselves together and continuing forward. Because Dabwick understands the truth will out in one way or another. The real truth of who they are and what they're all doing together is what will unite them, as long as they can keep the evil at bay. So, Dabwick settles into the real truth. They are in the water, meditating, and it is as refreshing to their mind as the cool water is to their changed body.
And then we gather below decks for the ritual. Is everyone set with spell prep?
Totally set with spell prep, but I do want to ask a question. Did dinner time happen tonight?
I mean, obviously say yes.
Yes.
We're all gonna die in the dreaming in like 10 minutes, so let's just do this.
Do
Let's
it.
hear a limerick.
So, as per instruction, while Harlar is serving up dinner, we gather around. We gather around who, Johnny? We gather around?
Stanhope Nixon.
Yeah.
That's my name.
Mm-hmm. And where does he present?
I think that he just stands up like in the mess area, or like wherever
in the cabin, yeah.
Everybody sort of gathers to eat.
Sure.
And it's like, hey everybody. So I'm Stanhope Nixon, and so I was Montgomew, and now I'm me, and I've been part of your crew, and Katzen asked me to share some of my poetry.
She
with you.
asked you?
I do have to say, whatever's about to happen is entirely my fault.
Dora is looking around at the other halflings around the table and their response to this news.
There's no table, but so I think we're all gathered inside the cabin, like holding bowls in our hands. And it's probably soup, right? Because we don't have a lot of food. We're nearing the end of the run, and it's cold. And they fucking love gathering for stories or tales or songs or things. Like, everyone's excited about this.
But to the news, when he says, I used to be Montgomew and now I'm Nixon, now I'm me, do they have a response to that? Has word already traveled about that and been disseminated and everything?
Yeah, Katzen has taken care of that.
Cool.
Obviously, so as to eliminate this period of forcing Nyx to have to go through this on an individual level with every single person.
Yeah.
You know, when Grip had his blow up, she left it to him to make amends with everybody, but in this case, she just felt like, maybe I should smooth this over here.
So, Katzen told me to, share what's inside of me, and I heard her, and so I wanted to share this with you. This is someone who is much smarter than me once told me to write what you know. So, an old man with hair in his ears had gotten himself in arrears, but they made him pay, no matter the way. They chopped off his fingers with shears. Yay!
Harlar is slow clapping so loud and with the most intense, studious gaze, nodding, the pipe coming out of the corner of his mouth there.
And Nixon is just kind of like nodding and kind of turns bright red. And then Mom, thank you.
Thank you, sailor. That will be all. Let us gather below decks. We light our candle. We sit in our circle. We stare deeply into each other's eyes. We stroke the staircase as Dora begins shredding reality with the sound of her voice. This is the 8th time in this life that Dora has attempted this ritual. Attempt number 8. Let's make some checks, Katie.
You just say it like that, like you've got to fuck it up sometime.
Well,
is that what you're saying?
No.
Statistics are statistics.
What happens when we get to attempt number 17?
Oh my God. Why would you?
So we are still.
Do you know what my bonus is to these checks?
23.
You can still get the +5. And Katie, once Stasi hits Inquisitor level 5, you'll be at a +6. What is your total bonus now with that +5?
22.
Amazing. So it's only a 1 or 2?
So what
or?
are the odds that I fail 3 out of 5 checks when I have to get a 1 or a 2?
Let's find out. Knowledge, Arcana, DC 25.
26. I'm sorry. I forgot to add the 5. It's
Okay.
31.
Okay. Second Knowledge Arcana.
31.
And Knowledge Planes.
41.
Amazing. So after 50 minutes, the tiny ivory staircase tumbles out of Dora's fingers, like slams onto the deck, and transforms into this set of dark black stairs descending into nothingness. Each of you tear yourselves out of yourselves, rise to your feet. Dora continues blathering arcane gibberish using now the special passphrase. You see the stairs briefly, ever so briefly, flicker and spasm. It looks almost like they're turning blood red, like the stairs are bleeding. Dora, Vic, and Grip hear that bell. Again, still distant, but slightly closer this time, and with it, another vision. The edge of a shard of black volcanic rock cutting into the side of a gray-skinned head, and then boom! There's a blast of force as the staircase vanishes, and the 4 of you are thrust violently back into your own bodies. Your one body tears apart your other body, and you are left bleeding on the floor, little ivory staircase sitting there. It seems as though the ritual could not fully complete this night.
They're not in the plane of
dream.
dreams.
Fuck.
Well, this is a very strange dream.
I'm gonna uncheck that belt of constitution.
There you go.
I got ahead of myself.
I got so excited. I wanted those 99 hit points.
It's 96.
Okay, 96.
Shut up.
So, sleeping overnight?
Yeah.
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 Don't worry about the healing of that damage. Stasi and Barnabas can take care of that. Oh, speaking of Stasi and Barnabas, what do you think the two of them do on off nights? Like, I think in my head I've been picturing them keeping the same schedule so their bodies aren't off cycle, so they could easily spend the night above, kind of relieving a whole bunch of other folks from having to take watch and stuff. Does that sound right?
For Stasi, for sure.
Okay. What about Barnabas? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I know what he does when they're gone. I don't know if... This is... I guess Katie should know this. Dora doesn't know it yet.
Yeah, great. Bring it up.
Stasi might suspect, but Barnabas has been reading some books while everyone's asleep.
Our books? The party's books?
Yes, the party's books. Mm-hmm. And the way I wanted to have this revealed is that Barnabas was just going to be talking to you, and you will realize he's speaking Aklo. Because he took linguistics as a skill.
So he's been learning Aklo.
So he's been learning Aklo. Mm-hmm. Because he just needs to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so
I don't begrudge anyone learning opportunity. It's no big deal to me.
So perhaps tonight, on a night where, he was expecting
Yeah.
to have that time,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden doesn't, he probably decides that, well, it is time to confess that he has been doing this
To Dora.
to Dora. Yeah.
Oh, before she goes to sleep.
Yeah, I think because I'm sorry for not just asking, but there's a combination of boredom and the curiosity that was killing me, and the need to continue to be useful. And it seems like that language is important in things that are happening.
Certainly.
That is, if you don't mind, if I would read some things tonight while you are sleeping, if
Of
I want to
course.
try to stay on the same
Please,
schedule.
if you see anything that I might have missed, I'd be very grateful
Oh,
for
absolutely.
another pair of eyes.
My pleasure.
Nice, fun.
All these books have Dora and Tima's notes in them, yeah?
Yes.
So I know that it's too late. Like, he's already been reading them.
He's been in them.
So, I think she has feelings about that, but they are pointless. And I think she can kind of...
But I think also to the point of one of the reasons why it took so much work to just even figure out how to make these books useful. There's so much stuff written in the margins of all of these books, and all of it in the same handwriting, that I think it's not like Barnabas's experience would have been able to stumble across a clear conversation.
Right.
Probably did catch maybe a few snippets here and there, but I think you can think of the overall arc of that conversation as still being private because there's just so much garbage. There's so much garbage jotted all over the place.
Yeah.
But
I would think that that's true, yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't think Dora is too worried about anybody sort of figuring out what her deal is that doesn't already know. Yeah, I don't think she sees it as a problem.
Okay.
Barnabas is someone she puts her life into his hands every night. Like,
yeah.
He's also Renard. And there's a certain
Oh God.
inherent trust in that maybe she isn't even aware of. So
Because the two of you have shared some
shared some
very
shit.
real shit.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think that it bothers her
Okay.
that much to be exposed that way.
Mercenarily, it's good to now know while you are sleeping, there is someone else who now is even closer to being able to do solitary research in case anything has to be dug back up.
Yeah.
You got one more language down in the backup crew, which is good stuff.
Yeah, because Dazi's never getting any. So
No, never.
As Vic is getting ready to go to bed and like bunk out and stuff, he just walks by you casually, Dora, and he's like, "Hey, Dora, I obviously heard how you reacted to Barnabas, rooting through the books and stuff, and I just want to say I'm really proud of you. We've really grown. We've really grown.
we really have, Vic.
Yeah.
We have.
Good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
The only person Vic didn't get to have a hug with when he woke up from the caravanserai.
Really?
Yeah, because you immediately started grilling him. So Grip woke up, they hugged. Dabik woke up, they were hugging, and then he was hugging Dabs when you woke up, and you were like, sense motive.
I have no memory of that.
Yeah. We specifically explained the hugs.
You're just the best conscience, and I love you. And he leans in and gives you a hug.
Dora leans in but doesn't move her arms.
Okay. Reluctant acceptance. Patient acceptance.
Yeah, we're still working on it, but that's really good.
We'll keep at it.
Yeah.
So I went and opened up all of your sheets on my own screen, so please don't touch them. And I need to start getting some die 20 rolls from each of you.
Oh boy.
Just plain old.
Just roll a 20 and tell me what you get.
Oh.
Gripper,
5.
why don't you roll 2d6?
Oh boy.
Jesus Christ. Total of 3.
Perfect. Dabwick,
15.
Dora.
6.
I think you might roll 2d6 as well.
2.
So you both are a total 8. This is going great, you guys. And Vic.
19.
Oh, nice. So, overnight, we sleep. And overnight, something happens. Or maybe I should say, something actually doesn't happen. On this night, none of you dream the dreams of Jamandor. It is one night of blessed freedom. And for the first time since we started playing this game together 5 years ago now, in our real world timelines, you all have complete control over what your characters dream tonight. And let's tease it out. Why don't you tell me what each of your characters dreams, free from Briarstone Asylum, free from the Tatterman, and now free, ever so briefly, from Jamandor.
I think Dora is sitting in front of a mirror, and she's murmuring nonsense very, very quietly to herself, while Barnabas walks in a circle around her and the mirror, also murmuring in Aklo with a book in his hand.
And does she only see him in the mirror, or does she see him?
She only sees him when he passes in the mirror.
Okay.
But when he passes in the mirror, he kind of flickers from his... what form are you normally in?
Around you, I think he still defaults to human.
Yeah, he like enters the frame of the mirror human, then
Yeah.
he flickers completely to Reynard, and then back again,
Just before
sort of
exiting.
moving through his hybrid form into full fox.
Yeah.
And this happens a few times, and then the mirror is gone, and it's Tima. And she's also murmuring, and they're murmuring in unison, and they're moving in unison. They're playing that mirror game.
Yeah.
And they both look down at the same time, and between them is a box. And Dora reaches for it, and Tima also reaches for it, but Tima reaches to cover her hand, like stop,
To prevent her.
to prevent her from opening the box.
And is this visually the same box that you saw in?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Both thematically and literally, it's the same. You've been seeing the same box.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what it looks like. I think it's metal with like a hinged cover.
Do you have a sense
It's
of
almost
its
like a
size?
chest, but it's not very big. It fits between them comfortably. It's perfectly square.
Lockbox size, like
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. But it's bigger on the inside, and they both
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
And so she reaches for it. Tima covers her hand, and they look up at each other at the same time. And Tima gives a very slight shake of her head, and they both withdraw their hands.
A shake like no.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the mirror is back, and so is Barnabas. And she sort of drifts off.
Awesome. What about Gripper?
So I think Grip's dream starts out back to the first, like, kind of back to the very first vision he was ever shown, or the dream. I guess it was a dream. It wasn't a vision of him running across the desert landscape,
Yeah.
being chased. But he's pulling ahead. He's pulling ahead, and he looks at this mountain that he's running towards. And at the very peak of the mountain, you can see a thin, like what from the distance, a thin wooden-looking thing that is calling to him. So he keeps running to that. He's easily running up the hill and leaving these dog-faced children behind him. And as he gets closer and closer, he can see that it's actually at the top of this mountain is the sullen starling. And he leaps up on it and climbs to the top of the crow's nest and is just looking out. He does a 360 and looks at the landscape, and it's flickering back and forth between water and desert, but it's beautiful in every sense that it is. And then he hears from below him, like deck level, "Hey, Grip." And he looks down, and it's Ray.
Uh-huh.
And Ray's standing there, and he goes, "What are you doing up there?" And Grip says, "It's fucking beautiful up here." And Ray says, "What do you mean? You're surrounded by spiders." And he looks around, and there's 3 huge spiders, and he's now on a catwalk, and there's 3 huge spiders. And then he feels a tap on his shoulder, and he turns around, and it's Ray. And Ray says, "I told you." And then he turns into an ettercap, and then Grip falls off the mast and wakes up.
Amazing. What about Dabwick?
Dabwick dreams of being on the prow of the ship of the sullen Starling and taking in the landscape and the speed of the boat against the water and enjoying this feeling of the wind blowing against their white feathers. White feathers. And they realize they can start reaching out their long, beautiful wings. They are changing into some kind of albatross, some large white seabird. And as they open up their wings, they catch the wind and without really any effort at all start to levitate up from the prow of the ship. A little bit of effort keeps them at the same speed as the ship is going, and they realize they can go higher. And so they do. They fly higher into the air, and as they fly, they shrink. They're still a bird, but they're some other bird. Oh, some fast bird, a bird of prey, like a falcon, and can take in the sight of the river down below and see far, far ahead down the river towards Casimir. And Dabwick realizes that they can fly, they can swim, and they can run all the way there if they want to.
Nice. And what about Vic?
Vic closes his eyes and is unconscious, and like there's just nothing. That deep, deep sleep where like you're so tired, just bone tired, and your body hits the bed and your head hits the pillow and you're just out.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up and he opens his eyes and he looks over and YK is at the desk.
Yeah.
And
Your best
YK,
friend.
my best friend, who I've been hanging out for the past 6 months.
Yeah.
And, he says something funny like, "Oh, well, you look different when you're sleeping." And, "Oh, that's very strange." And, and it makes me laugh and stuff, and hands me a cup of some tea or something that he created out of thin air to drink and sort of get me up, and going about our regular morning things as if we're like an old married couple kind of thing, because we've been in this room now for 6 months.
Most of your life.
Most of the greater part of my life has now been spent in this room.
Yeah.
And I'm telling him about this just wild dream that I had of like all of my friends back in the waking world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how it was so great to actually see them, but it was also really weird. Oh, and there was one time, and I need to figure this out when I get back, like I can't talk about it, but somebody connected to my dream, and it was not good.
Oh, right, because you don't say the name to him.
No,
Right.
No. I think that he knows about this idea of like, if you say this name, then
Yes.
you can be connected to it and stuff. But that I feel hopeful that I'm like in this dream, like we already figured out like 2 of these fetch quests, and I think we got a good shot at all this. And I'm kind of sitting there and and sipping my coffee and stuff, and sort of look away for a second. And then when I look back, it's the Tatterman.
Oh, God.
And he says something like, "You forgot about me. You forgot about how she sent me after you. You've forgotten about all those things that happened. Don't forget." And then look away again and look back, and it's YK, as if it was just like a blip.
Yeah.
And then the day is just like a day of grinding out, making potions. And
Making more drought powder.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, fun. So the next morning, you are all jostled out of sleep at essentially the exact same time. The ship is bucking and sidling like a vicious horse. Above, you can hear the sail filling, now on one tack, now on another, and the boom swinging to and fro as the mast groans aloud under the strain. Now and then, as you're coming to, there comes a cloud of light sprays down the open hatch, timed to the heavy blow of the ship's bow against the swell, and something has happened in the cabin. It's a scene of such confusion as you can hardly fancy. Barrels and crates have been broken open. The floor is thick with mud, in addition to splashes of dark blood still left all over the planks. The bulkheads bear the smears of dirty hands. Dozens of empty bottles are clinked together in corners to the rolling of the ship, which, to be clear, should not be moving. And a book lays open on the floor at Dora's feet, half the pages ripped out.
Dora reaches for that book.
It is Emotions of the Past. The book specifically telling the tale of the guy trapped on the Bloodwind. And the pages have been ripped out and tossed all around you. You can see down, because you've got dark vision, right? Yeah, you've got dark vision. You can see down that little cubby hole that you've fashioned at the front of the hold is also a muddy mess, just like the rest of the hold. You can see the footlocker open, and you can see the books ripped up, torn out, spread around, pages all over the place. What do we do?
I would immediately be going upstairs, like Vanity drawn, assuming that Vanity is still in my possession.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's all as you expect.
Dora closes her eyes and concentrates on the book.
Dora closes her eyes.
Oh, yes.
Psychometry on the torn book that she's in her hand. We dip into the river of time. I might get the right moment.
Dora sits down and begins studying the book, sinking into the river of time. Vic is grabbing Vanity, heading upstairs. What about Grip?
I think Grip will go upstairs too to see if there's anything amiss that needs punching.
Yep, following Vic and Dabwick.
Aren't the stairs kept in one of those books?
Yeah.
Men and vultures.
Do we see the stairs?
The stairs are not sitting out. You can see the footlocker. You want to go to the footlocker and find that book. You know the book. You've been through all these books.
Sure. Yeah. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I'm going to go check the books and see if we still have the staircase.
Give me a perception check. This takes 1 minute for you, right, Katie?
24.
Okay, great. Men and Vultures is indeed torn in half. There's no sign of the staircase. And in addition to all these ripped up pages from these books, which you, like everyone else, are very familiar with, there are also unfamiliar pieces of parchment, like not bound book pages, but loose leaf parchment in and among the detritus. And they with that perception check, they kind of stand out to Dabs. You want to grab a couple of them?
Yes. I want to take a look at those.
So the first one you find seems to be picking up mid-sentence. This is what it says.
It says, but Dora was outside of the mist. According to her, she kept invisibly along the north side of the courtyard, drawn by the sounds of screams coming from the manor.
And then it goes on to describe Dora sneaking up to the Iris Hill window to spy on Weirelai as she killed Daleen. And then the next one you find...
30 Le Martian. I wins, heavy fog. This was the day the Briarstone Witch entered our lives, by name at least. There was much to question about accounts of her early years, but the thing I kept asking myself was, did they actually think she wasn't evil, or was the evil nature part of Ariadne's appeal? The siren's song of wickedness, of the forbidden?
Vic and Grip are climbing the ship's ladder up onto the deck. Dora sinks into the river of time, extends the tendrils of her consciousness, and shoo, she has this feeling of the river becoming a pool, a set of like pebble drop wave circles starting at separate places, and she's drawn to a point where two of those concentric circles start to overlap, and shoo, she sinks in. She sees Tima sleeping on the floor of the Sullen Starling. Tima wakes up, looks around. Good. Vic is sleeping. Dabwick's sleeping. Grip is sleeping. No sign of the runt. Nix must be upstairs doing his work. Time to get to work. And then you are pulled forcibly out of the river of time as if you had been grabbed from behind by a part of your consciousness that did not want you to see what you were about to see.
Oh, just when we were getting along.
As Vic hits the top of the ship's ladder, you are all Star Trekked off of your feet in the case of the two of you down below as the ship slams to a grinding halt. And from the terrible sounds below, it sounds like the Starling must have just beached itself or rammed onto large rocks or something. The ship is no longer moving. And down by the port side, kind of near the front, near where you're at, Dabs, you can hear the sound of, like, from behind the stacks of lumber, you can hear the sound of a faint splashing of water. She's taken on water. Vic, your head pops up the top of the hatch. It's still dark outside, probably like 3 a.m. or so. So it's before the 4 a.m. beginning of the watch. You can see the sky is actually pretty clear tonight, and the moonlight and the starlight are giving you enough to work with. The ship has indeed run aground in shallow, rocky water, maybe like 40, 50 feet from the beach. But what's totally weird is that the land on the right side of the ship looks to be Rasmarin. There's no sign of the giant trees of Kyonin, which means the ship not only ran aground but got turned backward during whatever the fuck happened overnight. And also, you're getting up on deck now, Grip sees this as well. There is nobody up here. Not a soul. The cabin doors to the main cabin are open, and you can see signs of the room having been tossed. There's crap, like all of your crafting supplies, your precious crafting supplies are tossed all over the ground, Vic. The sail is up, and the beam is banging around and creaking in the winds.
What do we do to get the ship off of here?
I think we need like fucking horses or something to start pulling it, or another boat to pull it.
If we change the sails, will that help in any way?
Well, the closest thing you probably would have here would be the poles. You could certainly, where those are stored. You could try to push the ship off the rocks.
Yeah. But so like Stasi, Barnabas, Nix not around either?
There is nobody up here. So all of the doors to the main cabin are open. Both of the doors to Skywind's cabin are closed.
Wait a second.
Are the two of you heading up at this point? Yeah.
Can I see where we're taking on water?
You'd have to move. You'd probably have to spend like 20, 30 minutes moving lumber around and then out to get at it. It's way back behind.
I just need to see it, I think. I can try mending.
It'd take 15, 20 minutes, but yeah, you could get your eyes on it eventually. You could probably also use mending from the outside.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
That might be faster.
Yeah. So I'll go up.
Okay.
Dora, can I make a sense motive?
Yeah.
Dora feels like the ritual worked. That's her instinct, is that we this is some trick of Vadrax.
So whose motive are you sensing?
I don't know.
The blood wins.
Fuck.
Give me a will save.
21.
So Dabwick's heading up. Dora is really fixedly worried about this taking on water problem, stops and has this moment of hesitation, and she starts to get this bifurcated feeling that she realizes she had felt before, as she realizes she got here both by sleeping overnight and waking up to find this happening, and by walking down a set of blood-red stairs and materializing right here at this exact moment. Both things happened, both things are true, as they have effectively always been every time you've appeared in the Dimension of Dreams. It's just that we've never played out the other scenario before in order to convince you how real it feels. But yes, your suspicion that the ritual may have actually worked, Dora, you're starting to think that that could be the case.
Yeah.
Vic is moving towards the captain's doors.
Yeah, unlocked. It's been tossed, totally tossed, signs of mud and blood, but there is one giant golden trunk sitting in the middle of the cabin that you've never seen before. There's obvious signs of damage to it, as though someone tried to get into it, but it looks as though it has not yet been opened.
Check for traps.
Give me a perception check. Where are you at?
I mean,
That's a 36.
Okay.
I was like, I had the thought of, well, I'll pick up a pole and start pushing, but then I thought we need to see what is actually the situation.
Yeah.
So I think he's just doing a circuit around the deck, looking at the sandbar. Does he see any? He doesn't have survival, but like, can he see any signs of anyone having moved away from the ship on the side where we're run aground? But it's dark, so maybe that does it. Well, he has dark vision.
You got dark vision, so there's not enough. It's not like you're on a sandbar. It looks as though the ship actually hit a large rock. So you're like, there is only water on the side there, but like on the side of the rock, you don't notice any signs of, like, say, blood trails or anything like that. Dabs is coming up the ladder. 36. It does not appear to be trapped.
Is it unlocked?
When you think that and touch it, it opens. Inside are, somehow, it shouldn't fit, the Vorpal Scimitar, the Decanter of Endless Water, the Gem of Seeing, Viscount Brellin's magical belt. Every single one of the crafting supplies Vic made at the caravanserai, they're all inside this trunk.
I'm just going to click this back on.
You're going to go over and get your bell?
Yes, I will go get my belt.
Everyone to go in and grab their stuff? Mm-hmm. You can join him. Oh, the gem's
Yeah.
yours, right? Yeah.
She comes up.
Yeah. Joining them in the captain's cabin.
It's worked. It's taken us where it was meant to, near the Bloodwind behind us on the river.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Which means they're coming.
So everybody's got their stuff, so go ahead and, like Robert, click on anything that you need to click on because you now have it.
The hat.
Oh, you're putting the hat on. And you're appearing like a little girl. Okay, all right, great. As you all exit the cabin, you see Skywyn standing at the prow, looking forward with her back to you. She was not there a minute ago when you all passed to go into this room.
Gem of Seeing.
Skywyn's there, but there's like weird bits of shadow leaking out of her ears, leaking out of her joints that you do not see with your naked eye.
Is she dreaming? In the real world? Has she dreamed herself here? Does she dream herself on her own ship in the Dreamlands?
Unknown yet.
Good heavens.
But there seems to be something inside of her coming out of her that is not visible to your naked eye.
Is there a check to be made on that phenomenon? Planes? Anything? Heal?
On what you see coming out of her?
Yeah.
Yeah, boy, I don't think you have enough information yet. But could she have dreamed herself here? Yes.
Hey, Cap.
She kind of gives a shiver, a little shake of her body. Doesn't say anything, doesn't turn around.
Captain, what do you see?
She repeats the exact physical activity. A little shimmy, a little shake, almost kind of half cracking her neck. Doesn't turn around, doesn't respond.
Cap, do you want a chance at taking out the people who have been tracking your ship and put your crew in danger?
She does the exact same thing again.
Like it's a video on a loop?
Yeah, it feels like a hiccup.
I feel like Dabwick would go towards her.
Dabwick walks towards Skywin. Extends a hand.
Yeah.
As you get, within reach of her. She snaps back her head as if looking straight up, only her head comes clean off of her neck, and as her head tumbles to the deck at Dabwick's feet, the open cavity at the top of her torso howls bloody murder like a ravenous beast, while you see her limbs elongate and split, flesh just exploding off of her in huge gobs. You are splashed with Skywind's blood, and she grows and grows and grows, all in the span of a single breath. And as this flesh and blood of your best friend splash all over you, there is this hulking beast of shadow, teeth, and claws erupting from inside her discarded skin suit. She is now a hideous shade over 10 feet tall, with long, lanky arms, insect-like legs, and you can see right through her. And that's the end of chapter 116. We'll pick this up next time.
Oh my gosh.
Dark Nexus is produced by Plug and Hum Productions. This podcast uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Incorporated, used under Paizo's fan content policy. This podcast is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, please visit paizo.com. That's Paizo.com. Dark Nexus uses music and soundscapes by Syrinscape. Check them out at Syrinscape.com. That's Syrinscape.com. Opening and closing themes, along with additional music composed by Rob Kauzlaric. Artwork for Dark Nexus is by Matt Wahlquist. And thanks to DMCP, Richard and Ari, Paul and Shannon, Scotty, Jason, Jess, Joe, Chelsea, Matt, Dave, Derek, Darren, Michaela, J.H., the Biscuit Buddies, and everyone we've gamed with over the years for all the memories and inspiration.
You know what we're fighting here? We're fighting a couple 2-3 tigers.
Hey-o.
Is that a reference to something?
No, it's just, it's like the Chicago 3, but it's a couple
Tree.
2-3
Yeah,
tigers.
two
Couple
trees.
2-3 tigers over by there.
Oh, tree tigers.
Yeah,
I get it.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Thanks for taking the time to explain it to
That's
me.
the sign of a good joke.